Call to order this regular Board of Directors meeting for the Siloam Springs Board of Directors, November 21, 2023. Roll call.
Carroll. Here. Allen.
Here.
Oh. Rissler.
Here.
Hunt.
Here.
Wiles.
Here.
Smiley. Here. Blair.
Here. At this time, if you all will please stand with me as Director Wiles leads us in prayer, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we're so grateful to be here this evening and just ask your blessings upon all those here. Father, as we open this evening for discussion, we just ask, Father, that we can seek what is right and what is best, Father, and that we will always look to you for guidance and strength. Thank you for the blessings that we have, Father. Thank you for all that you do for us each and every day, and especially during this time of year. Help us to be more mindful of what we have and what others do not, and help us to have an open heart and to do all our best to reach out and help those less fortunate. Thank you for Jesus, Father. Thank you for our salvation. And it is in his name we pray. Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. At this time, I would like to ask if you have an electronic device that you would please silence that so we do not have any interruptions during the meeting. And thank you very much for that. Next on our agenda is the public input time. And I would ask if there is anyone here that would like to address the board on any item that is not on the regular agenda.
Madam Mayor, City Board, Arthur Holbert, 20705 Highway 16, President of Siloam Springs Chamber of Commerce. Excited to be here with you guys tonight. Wish an early happy Thanksgiving. I do want to encourage all the citizens to also participate in our Holly Jolly Christmas home decorating contest like we've had the last few years. Basically, deadline for submissions will be December 12th. Judging will be the following week, and they're going to announce the winners on Christmas Eve. So I do want to encourage all of our citizens to be a part of that too. Also very, very excited that we're bringing back something that Siloam Springs had for over 30 years called the Pool of Siloam event. Basically, we're going to have over 20 displays. It's going to be really, really good. We have some local artists like Hannah Hoffman locally is doing some of our artwork. Stanley Church doing some artwork. It's going to be really, really, really amazing. About 20 displays. We're aiming for December 10th for that to be the start there too. Also, just very thankful for the administration here at the city, the city board, and I enjoyed working with Chris too on some of our economic development things. A lot of great things going on in Siloam Springs, and hopefully in the future we can share more of those with everybody. But thank you all.
Thank you, Arthur. Is
Arthur,
there anyone else?
when you do that, make sure that the TV camera knows about the pool. The TV channel knows about the pool.
Is there anyone else?
Maybe I should explain what the Pool of Siloam is. I'm sorry. A Pool of Siloam is something that basically started in the 50s and went to the 80s, and basically it dealt with it started as a Christmas display, and it had kind of this one's going to have about 20 displays from the beginning of time, the birth of Christ, to a baptism, to it's going to be really, really nice with a lot of music, lighting, a lot of things over the hill overlooking Sager Creek. So it's a Christian Christmas display is what the Pool of Siloam is. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, Arthur. Is there anyone else? If not, is there anyone that would like to address the board on any item that is on the consent agenda? There being none, we will move on to the consent agenda. No, I'm sorry, we have a presentation tonight from the 2022 audit from Landmark CPA. Christina?
Mayor, members of the board, Christina Patriches, Finance Director. This evening I'd like to introduce Chris Cluck, who is a member of Landmark CPAs. They're our independent audit firm, and he is here to present the results of the 2022 financial audit. Chris?
Thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to be here this evening. As Christina said, we're the audit firm for the city. This evening, we're presenting the audit report. As with the previous year,
Chris, if I could, would you pull the mic over so that we can get all of it? We're
Sorry.
recording them, so thank you
I
very
apologize.
much.
So on page 1 is our audit report. We've issued an unmodified opinion. So basically what that basically says is that the financial statements are materially presented correctly and there wasn't any modifications. This is the highest audit opinion that an audit firm can give a business or a city or a municipality. So there wasn't any compliance issues that we noted or anything along those lines. During our audit, we also test the compliance with various governmental auditing standards, compliance with federal programs that you receive grants from, and also state laws. In our procedures, we didn't note any compliance issues there either. We have separate audit reports for those. Those are located on page 62, page 64, and page 74 of your audited financial statements and everything. As it relates to your accounting practices that are in place, there wasn't any major changes from the previous year. We did implement one of the governmental auditing standards related to leases, but that didn't have a material effect on your financial statements. So I did want to open it up for any questions that you guys might have.
Do we have copies
Yes.
of the audit?
You guys just gave it yesterday, so we don't have it yet.
I brought copies of them.
Oh, good,
Yeah,
good.
so.
That'd be great.
Anyone else?
The only thing, Madam Mayor, I was going to ask is, this is the 22 audit, and we're almost at the end of 23. And in the future, I would ask that maybe it be done sooner, that we get it sooner.
I completely understand. We did have a little bit of delays this year, and we apologize about that. And we'll look to do it sooner in the following year. So,
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
is the report, is that what was added to the agenda today?
I believe that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? If not, Chris, thank you very much for that.
yeah, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
If I may, Board, I'm sorry.
Alan.
Close. It is, if you'll look in your packet, it's uploaded, so it should be in there for your viewing. And again, we put this on the agenda very late because this came forward and we thought it was very important to get it to you today as quick as possible.
Thank you. And with that, we will move on to the consent agenda. Item A, regular meeting minutes, November 7, 2023. B, pre-agenda meeting minutes, November 15, 2023. C, appointment, City of Siloam Springs, Arkansas Public Education Facilities Board for John Brown University, Tim McCord, a reappointment of him. Item D, appointment, Benton County Regional Solid Waste Management Board, Jason Davis. Item E, appointments, Parks Advisory Board, Candy Alfano and Todd Williams. Item F, appointment, Planning Commission, Tony Williams, Chris Salley, Isaac McKinney. Item G, approve the 2023 auction list and Dwayne Craig Auction Service. Item H, annual chemical bids for the Public Works Department, Water, Wastewater Division, and multiple vendors at cost. Item I, resolution 65-23, setting hearing date for easement vacation, 816 East Main Street. That is the consent agenda. Directors, is there any item you would like to have removed for separate discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
item G.
Item G. Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with item G removed?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call?
Excuse me. Smiley. Yes. Wiles.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Lisa, item G to approve the 2023 auction list.
And Dwayne Craig.
And
Auction
Dwayne
Service.
Craig, yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure and clarify, we did take that out to bid for anybody, any auction services to be able to bid on that.
I put it out, I put the request for quotes out, and I included the people who had contacted you in the past, and I did not get a response.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure the public knows that it was put out. Okay.
Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to approve item G, the 2023 auction list and Dwayne Craig Auction Service?
Oh, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Wiles?
Yes.
Hunt?
Yes.
Rissler?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Smiley? Yes.
Motion is approved. Next are our ordinances. Ordinance 23-25, second reading, amending City Municipal Code, Chapter 54, Land Use, Minor Subdivisions. Ben?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the board. Ben Rhodes, Senior Planner. Before you is the second reading for the code amendment to Chapter 54. We did remove this section in there regarding the 365 days that was brought up at the last meeting. And I do believe that will make it cleaner and allow for more flexibility than how it was previously written. With that, we have not received any additional comments, and staff and the Planning Commission are still recommending approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Directors, any comments or questions for Ben? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 23-25? If there is not, directors, do I have a motion to place ordinance 23-25 on its second reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Hunt?
Yes.
Rissler?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Smiley? Yes. Wiles?
Yes.
Alan?
Ordinance number 23-25, an ordinance amending Chapter 54 of the Municipal Code with respect to plating and minor subdivision review.
Thank you. Next is item K, which is ordinance 23-26, second reading, amending section 102-21 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from G1 to I1, the 2200 block of South Lincoln Street. Ben?
Yes, thank you again, Madam Mayor. This is the rezoning that's for the utility campus on Lincoln Street. It's going from GI to I1 industrial. And we are still recommending approval, as well as the Planning Commission, and we are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Directors? Anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 23-26? There is not. Directors, do I have a motion to place ordinance 23-26 on its second reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
Madam Mayor, I just
Yes.
had a comment.
Yes, sir.
I know we're just rezoning here, but I don't believe our board ever decided to not use it as rodeo grounds. And before we get to the point of applying it for a city compound, which would be a fine use of the land, I just want us to be sure that the board is informed and makes that decision for the future use of the land. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I believe that Alan has made note of that, so he will bring that to you if, yes.
Yes, I would be happy to bring that to the board if that's our plans in the future.
Thank you. So with that, do I have a motion to place it on its second reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Rissler?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Smiley? Yes. Wiles?
Yes.
Hunt?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Alan?
Ordinance number 23-26, an ordinance amending section 102-21 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code, city zoning map, rezoning from GI to I1, property located at the 2200 block of South Lincoln Street.
Thank you. Next, item L, ordinance 23-28, second reading, amending section 102-21 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from A1 to C2, 3861 Highway 412 East. And Megan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Megan Thomas, Planner 1. This is the second reading for a rezoning request located at 3861 Highway 412 East, as Madam Mayor said. They're requesting to rezone from A1 Agriculture to C2 Roadway Commercial. Staff has not received any additional comments from the public since the first reading, and staff is still recommending approval of this request, and we are available for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Directors, any comments or questions for Megan? And Megan, did we have a request for the second and third reading on this?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Mayor. At the last meeting, the applicant came up and requested that on the second reading, we combined it with the third.
Okay. So with that in mind, do you have any comments or questions for Megan? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that has a comment or question on ordinance 23-28? There being none, I will ask if I have a motion to place ordinance 23-28 on its second and third reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Allen?
Ordinance number 23-28, an ordinance amending section 102-21 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Codes, city zoning map, rezoning from A1 to C2, property located at 3861 Highway 412 East.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, David.
I did want to bring up, there was a Scrivener's error on the front page of the memo. It was listed as Siloam Crossing, but the actual name of the company is Siloam Station. So
Okay.
it's just a Scrivener's error that
That's on the memo, is that correct? The memo?
I checked
Okay.
with Megan, yeah, and
Okay.
and it was just because there is another company named Siloam Crossing, so.
So we will
We
make
made
note of that
We
in
made
our-
that correction.
Yes. So with that, do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 23-28?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Roll call.
Carroll,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Ordinance 23-28 is adopted. Next is item M, ordinance 23-29, second reading, amending section 102-21 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from R2H1 to C2H1, 500 block of South Britt Street. Megan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Megan Thomas, Planner 1 again. As Madam Mayor said, this is the second reading for a rezoning request at the 500 block of the South Britt Street. They're requesting to rezone from R2H1 to C2H1. And staff has not received any additional comments from the public since the first reading. Staff is still recommending approval of this request, and staff is available for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Directors, any comments or questions?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Reed.
I do have a question, Ms. Megan. We're going from R2 to C2, and it's also H1 for both. So if this takes place, we're going to have C2 and R2 right next to each other. What is in our protocol to make sure there's barrier there so that the area that's R2 will be able to maintain their privacy and whatnot?
Yeah, we have landscaping requirements and screening requirements, so they have to have a landscape buffer of 6 feet. When they're abutting residential, they have to have fencing, privacy fencing, to provide privacy to those residential uses. They also have to have trees and shrubs to provide some privacy.
But with it also being H1, they can be real close to the edge. Are we?
And I will say,
Oh.
so for this property, there is a significant development coming through. I think that's set to come to y'all in January. It's going to the December 12th, I believe, board or planning commission meeting. And on that significant development, they're only doing it on the east side of the property. So all of that R2 and R3 that's there is for their detention area. And that will basically act as a buffer between them and the existing historical residential further to the west.
Okay, I look forward to seeing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 23-29? If not, I will come back to you, directors. Do I have a motion to place ordinance 23-29 on its second reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Blair.
Yes.
Smiley. Yes. Wiles.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Alan?
Ordinance number 23-29, an ordinance amending section 102-21 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code, city zoning map, rezoning from R2 to C2, property located at the 500 block of South Britt Street, and amending the future land use map of Siloam Springs 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you. Next is item N, ordinance 23-30, first reading, annexation of 114.43 acres, the 2700 East Block of Keck Road. Megan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Megan Thomas, Planner 1 again. This is an annexation request to annex 114.43 acres located at the 2700 East Block of Keck Road. The applicant is requesting that the northern 39.76 acres be zoned R2 residential medium and the southern 74.67 acres be zoned PD planned development. In addition to this request, the applicant is also requesting to amend the future land use map designation for the proposed PD area to neighborhoods 2. This is the future land use map for the two properties. The future land use map shows this area as neighborhoods 1, which is intended to serve single-family residential. Therefore, the proposed R2 zoning to the north is compatible with the future land use designation for the property. However, the applicant is requesting to amend the future land use map to neighborhoods 2 for the southern PD area in order to allow for proposed townhome portion of the planned development. And this is the comprehensive plan page for neighborhoods 2 so that you can see it. So the neighborhoods 2 serves for mixed density residential development. You can see that it calls out townhomes as very appropriate for the designation. However, it should be noted that urban apartments are still considered not appropriate for the designation. So this is strictly for the townhome portion. The Dogwood Heights development will be a mixed-use development that will have single-family residential, multifamily residential, and a park area. So it has 3 designated planning areas. Planning area 1, or A, will be the multifamily townhome portion of it, which will have townhomes with 6 to 8 units that will most likely be 2-story. Planning area B will have single-family residential on individual lots with a typical lot size of 6,000 square feet, and they're estimating around 94 residential lots there. And planning area C is their park area, which will have pickleball, a playground area, a trail, and other park-like amenities. So this is the concept plan for the planned development. Planning area A is shown here in the salmon pink down in the southwest corner of it. Planning area B is a single family residential, which is the darker colored squares. And planning area C is over here in the southeast corner of the site. You can see they're providing some trail locations, which will access the multifamily over here and will access the single family over here and over here. They're also providing like pickleball courts and playground areas. So they have a playground area shown there and pickleball courts shown here. And this is the overlay of the concept plan so that you can kind of see how it will sit on the site. It should be noted that with further review of the development plans for significant development, preliminary plat, the layout of these streets and the concept may change with those reviews. So this is just strictly a concept plan. You can see that they're proposing access on Keck Road here for the single family residential, and for the multifamily, they're proposing access on Highway 16. So as I'm sure a lot of you know, with PD comes a kind of a give and take process where they're able to customize their standards, and in return they provide amenities like parks, trails, and stuff like that. And so these are the proposed customized standards for Planning Area A, which is the townhomes. And so you can see that they're requesting a smaller lot surface area of 1,500 square feet, but they are providing wider lots with 200 feet. They're also requesting a greater lot coverage of 70% and a greater FAR. And the reason for that is because they're providing ample space within their park, the Planning Area C, to contribute for those green space areas. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice. Planning Area B, so these are the customized standards for Planning Area B, which is a single family residential. Again, they're requesting an increase in lot coverage. They're also decreasing the height of these buildings. PD would typically allow 35 feet. They're taking it down to 30 feet. And then also for the green space, they have customized that as well. And this is the Area C. This is the park area. So they have not requested to vary from any of the PD standards for this area. They're only requesting to add additional standards that are not included in the PD section. And they're requesting it to be treated as a park, which we have defined as an area in our code. And so these are the standards that they're applying, in which you would not have any structures constructed on that area unless it's related to parks and recreation. And then they've also noted that they will not be subdividing that land, so it will remain 18.8 acres, and no construction will be taking place on that. It'll be for park only. So this is the aerial map for y'all. I just wanted you to kind of see how it falls in regard to the city limit and see the different zonings that it's abutting. So for the proposed R2, you can see it over there. It's abutting the Stubbs Court addition there, and it has a few existing residentials to the west and to the north. And then for the proposed PD, you can see it's abutting the existing Dayspring facility there to the south. And then across the street, adjacent to the west, we have the recently approved site for the Dogwood Place Apartments plan development, which is there. And we also have Foxtail subdivision over here to the northwest of the site. So this is the site view, just so y'all can take a look at that. So this is the PD site that we're looking at. Again, we have Foxtail over here to the northwest. We also have the site for the PD plan development, Dogwood Place Apartments, Dayspring facility there to the south. And then this is the proposed R2 zone. So again, you can see Stubbs Court a little bit there to the northwest. And we have vacant land surrounding to the east as well. So staff has received one call of questioning nature on this request. And with all of that said, in concept, staff is supportive of the annexation request for R2 residential medium and PD plan development with the requested future land use map amendment, and staff is available for any questions that y'all may have. Thank you.
Directors, comments or questions for Megan?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Megan, on the planned, I think it's Part C, where we have the park, what is the maintaining of that as the years go by?
I'm glad you asked that. It is privately maintained by a POA. They mentioned that in their narrative, but it will be privately maintained.
Thank you.
The mayor?
Yes.
So it will not be a public use facility?
No, it's designated for this plan development, so it will serve the single family residential and the townhomes of the development.
Yes.
Are we just voting on the annexation of this?
Yes, yes. The annexation and the zoning. Yes, as the preliminary plat for the subdivision and for the significant development on the townhomes, it'll have to come back through to y'all for that approval. And like I said, this is all concept, so street layouts and layout of the buildings themselves could change with further review of those development permits.
Madam Mayor?
David?
When we abstain, we have to give a reason why, and there's a family relation here as to why I will be abstaining.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, Megan. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to Ordinance 23-30? Yes, sir. Please give us your name and address.
Daniel Freedy, 9200 Success Drive, Bella Vista. I'm with Expedient Civil Engineering representing this, and we would like to request all three hearings at this tonight for this.
I didn't hear what he said.
Well, he was asking for all three readings to be tonight.
And who is he?
I'm sorry, give us.
I'm with Expedient Civil Engineering.
Madam Mayor, would you be, normally we don't do all three. We might do one or two, but not all three. Is that sufficient for you?
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, normally this board likes for the first reading to go through by itself, and that gives the opportunity for other people to make comments and to contact them if they would like to do that. If that does not happen, then they would consider your request for the second and third. But usually that's the protocol that we follow. So.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Then do I have a motion to place ordinance 23-30 on its first reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Smiley.
Did you say Mike? Okay, I'm having a hard time hearing, I guess. Yes.
Lyles.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
Abstain.
Carroll.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Alan?
Ordinance 23-30, an ordinance accepting the annexation of certain territory at the 2700 East Block of Keck Road to the city of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and assigning the same to a ward.
Thank you. Next are the staff reports, and looks like we have responses to the town hall meeting. Ben?
Thank you again, Madam Mayor, members of the board. That's correct. So we had you had requested that staff provide an actual written response to the comments that were presented at the town hall meeting August 24th. And so that is before you this evening. There's nothing that's necessarily actionable out of this. It's just giving you our response and our recommendations, and then we'll be happy to take any of your feedback. So I'll just go through that real quick. These were comments that were received by several of the surveyors as well as other people in the audience that evening. And so with a brief summary of what we found regarding the certificate of title block removal. This was originally to ensure the property was truly owned by the subdivider, but we did consult with legal counsel on that, and it was determined that those verifications can be done through warranty deed. And staff has made that change as the old the requirement was just an internal procedure, didn't require a code change or anything like that. For the easement acceptances, staff instituted this change after we found nothing in the state statutes requiring the legislative body as the only authority to accept easements. Staff will take easements to the Planning Commission for acceptance, and will allow the applicant to file the plat early at their own risk. No easements to date have ever been rejected by the board or city staff. Regarding iWorks, that's staff's permitting software that we use for all our permits. There have been some issues with the user interface, and we're aware of these issues. And we're working to seek out another provider, so that will hopefully be resolved next year. Staff and the applicant checklists are identical in content. If there are any discrepancies brought to our attention, we will make those changes to ensure a seamless review process. Staff is unaware of any areas where the city has constructed improvements to a lesser standard than what was required of developers. However, we will do an internal review to ensure that there's no discrepancies in that area as well. The question about sidewalks, those are not required for home additions, only for new construction on infill lots, that type of thing, or if it's a brand new lot in a different subdivision. On utility easements, there was a comment, as you know, about why do we require those. Those are needed to ensure that when utilities are expanded, that the easements are already in place to allow for that, and it's just good planning practice for future growth to go ahead and dedicate those easements at the time of the plats when they come through. Staff will be addressing what we call the 10% rule, so that minor changes to plans do not trigger a full review of the project. This will be reflected in the next major code update, which will be the Unified Development Code. Regarding planning applications before the board, allowing the Planning Commission autonomy on decision-making for non-zoning issues is consistent with other cities in Northwest Arkansas. Significant developments and preliminary plats that are approved by the Planning Commission may be appealed to the city board by any party within 30 days of the approval. This change will speed up the development review process, which has been one of the main comments that we received. Point 10 on the memo has already been discussed regarding the easements. Finally, for number 11, we agree that some can be done to improve the legal notice process, which is in the subdivision permit application ordinance that you already reviewed and voted on this evening. And that's looking at the simplified stair-step approach to legal notice, which I brought up earlier when we were presenting on the first reading. With that, staff is recommending the changes as noted in the memo, and we are available for any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Directors? Comments or questions for Ben?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Mindy.
I was just going to thank Ben and staff for looking into these questions and concerns, and for giving us information about why it may have been that way, what you recommend going forward. I think we do always have to keep neighbors in mind when any new developments are going in, but I also think that as simple as the process can be for those that are doing the building, and really ultimately for you all too, I think the better it will be for everybody. So thank you for looking at that, and I hope those that have the concerns, in fact, I might even recommend, if and when you make these changes, maybe reach out to some of the people that came to the meeting and just let them know, thanks for coming, and here's what we've done in response. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
I appreciate them meaning planning department, reviewing all these questions and just listening to people who came to the meeting. It's important to have alternative viewpoints, and I will just say that no matter what, I cannot support bypassing the city board on changing the approval process, simply because this body here is elected by the public. The Planning Commission is not. In fact, this board has very little input on appointments to the Planning Commission. I've been to the planning meetings. It can be very intimidating. They go quickly in terms of approving what is recommended by the department, and I think the public feels many times more accessible to this board, that they can access this board when there is something coming up. I mean, I don't have a problem whenever there's a question here, the autonomy on decisions. I think it's fine as it is. Our city has grown very, very fast, and I've often thought we're growing too fast. We have violated a lot of the original rules of the master plan with growth. And I think at some point we need to slow down and take a breath. And I don't have a problem with the autonomy on decisions with the planning and zoning, but it still needs to be final approval by this board of directors, because it's like this board is a second opinion. The growth and future of our city is far too important to have it ramrodded so quickly simply because other cities do it this way. And I say like a second opinion, if you're going to get your spleen removed, you're going to go get a second opinion. If you're going to have a major change in your city limits, you need to sometimes have a second opinion. There's not very often that this board disagrees with the planning, but occasionally it does happen, and when it does happen, it's because there's been input from the public. So therefore, I just cannot support that change. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, David. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Betsy?
that is the only one of the changes that concerns me. Like I mentioned in the last meeting, examples, I don't want citizens to not have a voice or to be, maybe they didn't know about it during the planning committee meeting, but by the time it comes to the board, then becomes more, they become more aware of it. So I don't know. I'm struggling with that one. The rest of the changes are great, but I just get concerned that citizens might not find out about changes in time. So.
Yes, Carol.
I agree. As a previous planning commission member, they are only a recommending board, and we have the final authority. So I would agree with both directors with that. I think it's good that you have two different boards that look at that and have the opportunity for the citizens. Even with some of those meetings that come to us, there will be citizens that said, I didn't know anything about this. So I think it's good that we have both. Thank you.
And as the report stated, it's really only saving 2 weeks. And in the overall scope of things, the importance of development and having it looked at properly by as many eyes as possible, I think 2 weeks is really not that big a deal.
I have a question. Is it only saving 2 weeks? Because I see it both sides, because I'm pro-citizen, but I'm also, I don't want to make it hard for somebody to do business in Siloam.
It's actually about 4 weeks difference, because the planning commission's the second Tuesday of the month, and it always follows to the board of the first meeting of the following month. So you have to get through the first month, and then you get to the board meeting of the next month after.
And there's nothing in the process that can speed that up? Because I know we've taken things, my husband and I have taken things, and it's a long, drawn-out process. Sometimes it's overwhelming.
It's difficult to speed it up because we have to prepare all the documents for the board review, plus there's the resolution ordinance that has to be prepared and reviewed by legal. So we could look into that, but it would potentially be difficult to make it any quicker, because keep in mind the only other board meeting available would be the one immediately the week after planning commission.
I think the ideal solution would, if we could change our processes to shorten it, but we should always make sure the citizens are able to have a voice.
Yeah, if we could find a way to make it go faster, we certainly would, but I just don't know, because the board packet's posted a week before roughly the board meeting, which is basically the same time the planning commission's meeting. So there wouldn't be any way to report on what their vote was or anything to the board to get it into the packet in time. So that's the challenge. It's a calendar challenge.
I think this has been brought up numerous times over the years, and there's just not been a solution to speed it up and to make sure we're sufficiently looking at what we need to look at.
So was that one of the areas the developers specifically requested for a speed-up process, and they don't understand the process of going from planning to the board of directors?
Typically, the developers are used to stopping at the planning commission in other cities, so they're not understanding why they have to go before the board.
That was
until they're a citizen and they want to have a voice.
My question was, you had 4 different comments worded differently, but about the same. And my question was, were these local developers, out-of-town developers? Can we know?
It was every developer and surveyor that we had within the last 2 years submit applications. That's who we sent the survey to. And that's who provided comments. So a developer or surveyor who submitted in the last 2 years provided those comments.
Director, I actually had a meeting with the local surveyor, and again, when you're looking at 2 to 4 weeks, the process, when we look at easements, it's a process that has never been denied by the board. So it's something you're just checking the box when, in my opinion, we can handle it at our level. It's things that we can talk about, but this is a 3 to 4 week process, 3 minimum, 4 long term. And we work for the pleasure of the board. Again, if that's not what the board pleasure is, but this would cut out 4 weeks, and it's a request of the developers.
And it's only on easements.
Easements.
And that.
Am I correct on that,
No,
Chris?
wait,
That's
no,
utility?
this is significant
Nod their
developments.
heads, so I'm
This
not-
would be, I believe they're talking about the autonomy for significant development.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, number 9. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had easements on my mind.
But there was a mention of saving 2 weeks, which was regarding the plat easements. That's where I saw the 2 weeks.
That's the easements portion is
Right.
a separate entity from the.
I see that, and that's where it would save 2 weeks in the review approval process. So that's why I said 2 weeks. But that also is regarding the plat being brought to the city board.
So on these, the significant development and the easements, as long as they meet the ordinance, can we deny them?
Chris Paxton, I'm the Community Development Director, and I'll speak on that. One of the main reasons why other cities remove that to the Planning Commission level is to reduce the liability associated with denying large-scale developments. We refer to those as significant developments and preliminary plats. The board approves the codification of the process. So you create the process to create those approvals. Once it meets those requirements, there's additional liability if a project meets the requirements of the code and then it's denied, then it puts the city in a higher level risk.
So that's what I was asking. We legally are not supposed to deny them if they meet the ordinance.
I'd say that there's a higher level of risk associated with the.
Can we, now if they have special needs for that?
Some of the language in our code allows some vague interpretation. For example, it talks about best planning practices and best practices in general. However, if I ask you what best management practices are and you ask me what best management practices are, you could get 2 different responses. So whenever you have those types of interpretations, then it can be really easy to get to a denial, because you can have that conversation and say, well, that's just not a best management practice. However, whenever you codify something and then they meet that requirement within the code, except for those vague additional stems.
Do other cities have those vague additional areas too?
Well, whenever you get to that point, if you deny it, then that's where it would probably have a higher risk of going to a court for additional.
But you keep saying that the other cities do it this way, but do the other cities have the same verbiage that we do?
What they do
Similar.
is, if something is denied at a planning commission level, for example, then there's additional appeals routes. So the applicant has that appeal route in the city, and then it would go to their city council. The approval level is where it gets a little bit different. If it's approved in the other cities at the planning commission level, some cities have language that allows the city council members or director members to reach in and object to that. Or most cities, once it's approved at a planning commission level, it's approved and can move forward to permitting. And Ben, did you have anything to add to that, or did I cover that correctly?
You covered it pretty well. I mean, there's objective criteria and subjective criteria, and I think that's what you're getting at, is the subjectives are the ones in the gray boxes in the staff reports. Does it fit in the neighborhood context? Well, you can't really measure a neighborhood context. So it's subjective in how you review it. And so in that sense, you could look at that and say, well, this project might check all the boxes on the objective criteria, the lot size and lot width, but it might not fit within the neighborhood context or character of the neighborhood. And you could say, well, it's not meeting that subjective criteria, but potentially that could be challenged by another party if they felt that that wasn't the right decision. So.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Are you done? So I want to go back to notifications to the public. And yes, we do want the citizens to be able to have a say in whatever is going on around them, okay? But they receive notifications about these plans prior to the Planning Commission meeting, correct?
Absolutely correct. Yeah, the rule is that they have to receive notice at least 15 days prior to the meeting.
Those who are living near it.
Is it 300 feet? Is there a?
Not all public are alerted.
Right. And I may be wrong on this, but it seems like oftentimes when concerns have been expressed about plans, the Planning Commission or the staff gets emails, or people come to those Planning Commission meetings, and then it's the same people that come again to the board meetings or write to the board between the Planning Commission meeting and now. So I guess what I'm getting at is it seems that typically, and I may be wrong, but typically it feels like those that have expressed concerns have expressed them from Planning Commission on. So they have been aware in a timely enough manner to let us know what their concerns are. So I guess I understand the concern that the developers have for having to wait those extra 4 weeks or so. You mentioned appeal process. That's only if a developer gets denied, they can appeal. If a developer is approved for whatever they're doing, that's it, right? If someone from the public had a concern after something was approved, would we still hear those?
Yes, they could appeal the approval.
So the citizens could approve. Yes. Okay.
If they apply, there's an application for it. They would apply within the 30 days after the approval, and then that appeal would go before the city board. So there are opportunities for the board to weigh in, if you will, on the controversial projects.
Okay.
If there is an appeal filed, that would have to be filed by a third party.
That is not made aware to the public. This is the first I've ever heard of this, that there's any kind of appeal by the public.
And that's always been the case?
We've had it on the books for 20 years at least.
But has there really never needed to be a reason since it comes to the board anyway? I mean, that's sort of when the citizens are expressing their concerns at the subsequent board meetings, as opposed to going a separate route and appealing something. So that it would be even though it's set already, I think it would be sort of a new process, and maybe we could be, did you say educate them more? I mean, we can just let people know.
Let people know the processes, and I think that's where citizens get confused. They don't know the processes.
Yeah, and on that one, I don't know that because it's come to the board meetings, it hasn't been a big issue.
Yeah.
But going forward, we would want to make sure that they understood that, however that can happen.
Let me give you an example. There was some property being developed out off of Villa View that was within 40 to 50 feet of my property. From the northwest corner to their southeast corner, it was across the street. I never got any notification, even though the rule is 300 feet. Never got any kind of mailing, nothing. And when you can show up at a planning and zoning meeting at 4:30 and by 4:40, it's over. Meeting was so quick, done, over with, sorry. Yeah, Mindy, you can say that you think everybody's getting their share to be able to email and everything, but I can tell you there's more than a handful of people around town who would say, yeah, I don't think so. So I think when you have a second board, as I said, a second opinion. Now, in terms of legality, what I understood years ago is that the board can, or the planning, can only object to a preliminary. That if it's already been approved, there's no way we can object to a final because it's already been done. So the preliminary plat is where I always understood that we had some power or leeway to be able to make an objection.
It's the developer's responsibility to send out the notification, right?
Yes.
Don't they have to prove that they've sent, I mean, they have to have something.
They used to have to send a required receipt, and long ago, it was changed.
Kevin?
No, we do.
Can you kind of clarify that a bit?
They're required to do proof of mailing. That's never changed. We receive that for every single letter, that there's been a proof of mailing that comes from the post office, so they're not creating it themselves. There's also an affidavit of publication from the newspaper. And of course, we have pictures of the signs. As soon as they're erected, we put the date stamp on when the sign is erected. So we have verification of all the legal notice.
I have a question.
It did change at one point. It did change at one point because Steve Stitt was the attorney who said, we don't have to do that. And it was a planning department employee who made the decision not to do it. So the little green cards, it was eliminated to where it didn't have to be done anymore.
So they have a different kind of verification, I think, now, right?
Different.
Okay,
Yes,
so Kevin?
Madam, so if I can speak to this for a second. So we have several notices. One of those things, so instead of doing the certified mail, we do basically where you take that mailing list to the post office and they stamp that you have mailed to each of those addresses, and we receive a copy of that. And I will also notice or mention that all of those notices point to the Planning Commission meeting night, and then at the Planning Commission is when the board date that it will appear is given to the public. So that's when the public is noticed. And one of the things that we've viewed as staff is that a lot of times people will show up to the Planning Commission to make their point, and then when it goes to the board, we have to tell them, well, also you actually have to show up to the board because that's where your opinion counts, essentially, is kind of the conversation that we have. And so people are having to come to multiple meetings since the decision's not made where they're used to it being made in other cities and things like that. So that's something to take in mind as well.
And you all provide the list who we mail it to, do you not? It seems like I get that list from you.
We review the list of mailing. So before they send any letters or any newspaper or anything at all, we review everything, make sure it has the correct information, and we check their neighbor list to make sure that they're mailing it to anyone within 300 feet per our GIS map.
Did we not get that list from you?
The list of neighbors?
The radius of who is in that radius.
The radius?
Do you all provide the list of those that need
We do
to-
not provide the list. We give them the tools to determine the list. There is a GIS tool that you can enter in your address,
And that might be what we do. I don't know. I don't do that process.
And then we verify it, yes.
I just know the list, so you know. Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Jen.
A few things. I don't know where to start. Ben, you mentioned objective and subjective criteria. What would you say the Planning Commission uses most, objective or subjective, when they make their decisions?
I would think they use both equally.
Do they?
It's in their staff report.
Okay.
It's copied to use, so.
So when a decision is made and the public wants to appeal, how long do they have to make that appeal?
30 days from the decision.
And are they told specifically at each meeting that that is the accepted process?
We don't make a practice of making an announcement about that at every meeting. We can
Don't you
certainly
think that would
start
be
doing that.
helpful if
but-
they knew
yeah.
that? Because
yeah.
you got to also, I have heard it over and over, and I know the other board members have heard it over and over. Citizens generally feel very intimidated, whether they go to the planning and zoning meeting or whether they come to this meeting. So they inherently are afraid to speak up. And so that feeling of intimidation has to go away. I understand what you've been doing and saying, and for the most part I agree, and I think this is great. Unfortunately, I do have to side with the other directors that spoke up. While there are some things we don't need to know about, there are some things we do have to know about. And Kevin, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this. Please do not take it wrong, but something you just said, I understand what you were saying. It came out the wrong way, okay? You said that it is at this board where the opinion counts of our, for our citizens. That should not be the case. Every time a meeting is taking place that involves our citizen, the opinion should count at that meeting, whether it's planning and zoning, whether it's here. Again, that leads to the intimidation that the citizens already feel, I would guess. So all that to say, I think we need to, as was expressed, we need to educate them. I don't care how many times we have to tell them. Doesn't stop here, okay? At the end of every meeting, it should be said, if this does not meet to your liking, here is the steps to go further and find out. I just feel that that would be in the best interest of planning and zoning, and it would be in the best interest of our citizens. Just make them aware of their opportunities, and also we just need to make it easier for them. I'm getting amped up here. I'm going to stop. I've sat in meetings where I've been in the audience. I've sat in meetings when I've been on this board where, yes, everything met the criteria, but yet it was not a fit, and we have turned it down. And I think that's what others have been talking about. You can do things right, or you can do the right thing, and they are not always the same. So we just need to make sure moving forward, whatever it takes, that we're doing the right thing as far as citizens. And that's all.
Yes, so.
Sometimes it's very difficult, if everything fits the criteria, to turn it down. Because I feel if you do that, you're facing some legal action. So I understand where you're coming from.
If I may, Madam Mayor, I just want to say that staff's recommendation is strictly based off of their interpretation of the code. There are going to be times where I believe what the director was stating was that one thing that we're not looking at is to discredit the opinion of the general public at those board meetings. I think that what Kevin was discussing was at the planning commission meeting, their only option is to always forward to this board if it's approval or denial. So the recommendation is always to forward. I think that one thing to consider is our recommendation will always side with our interpretation of the code. And sometimes the board members or the planning commissioners may do exactly what was stated here tonight, which is to do what they believe is right, not based off of the checklist. Our staff is required to go off the checklist that was provided by this body. So one of the things we would like to do is, if we're finding issues where we're disagreeing with that checklist, is instead of changing it at the end result, is identify where it is, during the process of going through that checklist and change those items. So if the problem is with the checklist and not the final recommendation, then we need to identify what's wrong with the checklist. I think that we can definitely take a stronger look at our comprehensive growth plan. We can take a look at our Unified Development Code that's in review, right? That's about to come up to be in review. And we can see if we can identify some of the areas where the board believes that there should be changes. And I think that we can do that through communication, both through individuals and maybe through some future workshops or however the board wants to handle that. As the city administrator stated, we work at the behest of this body. However, our staff works at the behest of the city administrator, and one of the things that we're required to do is follow that checklist. If it meets the requirements of that checklist, it gets that recommendation of approval. And I think that's one thing that I just wanted to clarify is, as staff, we are strictly looking at the code interpretation.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Kevin. So Lisa, or Betsy, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Wiles. I think you made a lot of good points. To speak to some of that, our whole purpose is to serve the citizens. That's why our government is here. It's about serving the citizens. And I agree, it is intimidating. And it's not because y'all aren't great and nice, but it's intimidating. And when I hear about the appeals process, I think if I were the average citizen, I'd be like, great, more government red tape. Nobody's going to care. What's the point? And so I like that they can come before the board, and it's not a reflection of y'all. Y'all are great. You're very helpful. But it is intimidating and it is overwhelming. Yeah, I think you made a lot of good points. So,
Madam Mayor.
Yes, David.
I got a little confused, Chris. I'm lost when you say our recommendation only based upon code. The recommendations in this memo tonight are not based on code. They're based upon the recommendations from public at a public meeting. So I'm lost as to why you would say your recommendations are only based upon the code. That doesn't make sense.
And I can address that, Madam Mayor. What I'm speaking of is a recommendation of approval or denial for example, a site development review, or for a preliminary plat that has gone through the review cycle with our staff. So one of the things that we actually have that's a great improvement on other communities is that we have a 7-day turnaround cycle on our each round of reviews. It's usually 10 days to 2 weeks at other cities. We do take it a little bit step further and try to get those reviews back and forth. But one of the things that we do is whenever we receive a new application for a preliminary plat, or when we receive one for a larger scale development, that goes back and forth with planning as a single point of contact to each of the divisions. Each of those divisions are providing comments based off of code interpretations. We gather those together. With each round of review, we make sure that those, we start to bring the project that is in front of us into compliance with that code. After they address each of those comments, that's where our recommendation comes from, is whether or not to approve it or deny it based off of those recommendations, plus certain site conditions. Those are those objectionable criteria. That could be traffic patterns in an area, that could be different site-specific considerations. However, the primary focus of our review process is that that checklist that we have from our code review. So what we're looking at, in addition, are those objectionable criteria. For example, the one that just immediately comes to my mind is traffic pattern in an area may be different in one part of the city. Infrastructure may be slightly different in different areas of the city. But when we make that recommendation of after that review process, it's primarily based off of our code review.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Yes.
Are we voting on this or something, or before?
No, this is just information to you.
So you're saying you're doing this change whether we want it or not?
No.
If I may, Madam Mayor, a couple of things. This is staff's summary and kind of response to each of these. And based on how you would like us to proceed with any of those, if you could maybe address it in your director's comments, that would be really helpful. I think with number 9, we know that most of you want to keep having things forwarded to you from the Planning Commission. So, and I did want to apologize because I did state that really poorly. That wasn't my intent. Regardless of whether we're talking with the applicant or somebody who's against the process, at the end of the night at a Planning Commission meeting, we have to encourage them to also come before the board, because at the Planning Commission, the decision's not final. And so that's, like I said, I stated it really poorly, but that's what I was trying to get across, is that people are having to come to multiple meetings because up until the final decision of you all as the city's board of directors, the decision's not final.
So at this point in time, Alan, I would say that probably you have direction from this board.
We do. You know, what I'm hearing is the board likes all the changes except this one, and this is something we will continue to review, and we'll have discussions with the board, and it's things that we can discuss during pre-agenda and in meetings, and just going forward, staff will talk about it. No decision will be made. Bring it back to the board.
That sounds good.
I've got clear direction.
Very good. All right. So with that, if we have no other comments from the board, we will leave that in the administrator's hands to put that together and bring it back to you for further discussion. He will get with staff. With that, we will move on to the administrator's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have expenditures report in excess of $30,000. Expenditure of $36,095 for a 1500 Dodge Ram SSV crew cab 4x4 truck for the warehouse. Delivery date is supposed to be January of 2024. Also an expenditure of $49,000 for a back deck addition for Station 3 Fire Department. And then per resolution 3423, an expenditure of $80,988 for a full 4-pole top reclosure for electric. And then I would like to also, in my report, the Light Up Siloam Springs Christmas Parade is coming up on December 2nd. The parade kicks off on Tulsa Street by Siloam Springs Middle School. And where the citizens know, it was posted earlier today that they'll know the route if they'll go to our website. We've also put it on social media with links, and we'll send out reminders of the parade route. Also, we'll have several choirs that will begin at 4 o'clock. There'll be choir and music, and the parade begins at 5:30. And also, as I reported pre-agenda, we're very excited, staff's excited to announce the Major Projects Tracker is now live on our city website. This is a new tool offering information about recent and ongoing projects in the community. Projects are about residential and significant development, include interactive maps that are simple to use. So we're really excited about that. And to go on what Mr. Halbert was talking about, presented by Discover Siloam's, the 4th annual Deck the House decorating contest is back, and I really appreciate the chamber, just support and everything they do, working with us, and without them it wouldn't be possible. But embrace the holiday spirit and join the residents citywide in the annual holiday celebration. Registration is now open until December 12th. This will be when the judging begins. Entry is entirely free. Participants can register on discoversiloam.com. 4 champions will emerge, one from each city ward. Each person or family that wins will be awarded $100. The winners will be announced on December 24th. Additionally, the community will help crown the crowd favorite winner on social media, who will receive an additional $100. Let's light up Siloam Springs together and share the joy of the season. So we're really excited at that and the partnership with the chamber. I would also, in the audience, some of you, the board members, have met Mr. Williams and Mr. Kurtz from Williams Law Firm of Arkansas. I'm just very excited. I have signed a contract with them to represent us through the end of the year. My plan after that, sometime in December, I will bring a contract to the board for approval because it's over my spending limit. But you'll see that sometime in December, but they will be representing us until the end of the year. R.J. Williams is still, he's here a couple days a week helping us with other things, but again, they're here for questions, and I'm excited. You have Jay Williams, Joe Kurtz, and also a third person in his firm is Molly Spears. So again, we'll be able to pull from 3 different attorneys. So again, their backgrounds are impeccable, and I'm really excited. Some of the work they've already helped us with. And again, they're here available for questions if you have one, or they'll stick around. I've spent a little over 3 months just watching how this staff works and the things they're doing every day, just tireless long days. Just trying, I didn't realize, so I sat in this seat, how much it takes just to put a packet together for the board. And one of my hats off for Renee. She really goes to bat, especially with these holidays right now, trying to meet deadlines, and there's a lot of changes and updates and revisions. I think every time she comes in my office, she's looking at me funny because I'm changing things. So I greatly appreciate her work and staff's work. Other than that, God bless everyone and wish you a happy and safe Thanksgiving. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. So with that, we will move on to our director's reports. I would like to start that off by saying happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Hope that if you're traveling, you have safe travels and you enjoy your time with your families, and just reflect on all the blessings that we have been given and give thanks for that. Always want to remind you about, as Alan said, we have the Light Up Siloam, December 2nd, and the parade. I will remind you that there is still time to enter a float in the parade. You have until December 1st to do that. So there is a place where you can sign up for that. I believe it's on our website, as well as the Heritage League. And welcome, Jay and Joel, and we look forward to working with you this next few months. So appreciate you all. And with that, I will move to the directors, and we're going to change it up a little bit tonight. Reed, we're going to start with you, and Lisa, we're going to end with you. So, sir, there you are. You have the floor, Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say thank you to everyone for sticking with us through this year, and for the holiday season that is upcoming, that we may be mindful of family and mindful of the unity that we as a community possess, and that we can work within that, and we can be that neighbor, we can be that friend, we can be that help. And if we can just keep that in mind, I think we will do wonderfully looking into a new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Reed. Carol?
I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Think about your neighbors. If you have shut-ins next door, make sure that they're not alone, and just say, invite them over or go visit. I want to thank everyone that has participated for the parade. And I want to thank the staff for the Christmas decorations that have been put up throughout the city. And I just, again, wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. David?
Oh, I do want to thank, excuse me.
Yeah.
I do want to thank the Planning Commission. I've been a Planning Commission person, so I know they have a difficult job, and they make the recommendations that come to us, and we look at those. Sometimes you think that maybe the board doesn't think about what the Planning Commission is doing, but we do. And I appreciate the Planning Commission very much. Thank you.
David?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I appreciate that, Carol. I ask that their minutes be put back because I like to see there is a tremendous amount of work that they do, and we just often need to be reminded of that.
And I like to look at their
I
minutes too.
appreciate reading their minutes just to be able to keep up with everything they are, because it is a lot of work that they do, and that they volunteer. It's not a big, high-profile job, not glamorous job, like this isn't either, but I wanted to say welcome to Jay and Joel on coming as our city attorney firm. When Alan stated that you work with the city of Gentry, I said, as long as they have the municipal law experience, that's fine with me, and I trust the people at Gentry. They are a good city. I've known the mayor a long, long time, so I think that was a big plus for me. Really looking forward to the Pool of Siloam. I went every year as a child. My mom took me and my siblings, and it was always very meaningful. It sounds like there will be more than it used to be in terms of scenes. I don't remember 20, so it sounds like almost double. Yeah. So it's exciting, and it's exciting hearing who all is involved in it. I did mention earlier, I just want to say it again, I hope next year we can get the audit earlier, and really Landmark could have come to the next meeting, because we need to be able to see it and ask questions. We need access to review it, and the public does as well. And shocker of shockers, I don't have a whole lot to say except happy Thanksgiving and cutting it short. So I know, don't have a heart attack. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Mindy?
Okay. I want to thank Heritage League for the work that they do to put on the parade every year. Having been involved with Heritage League for several years, I know there's a lot of work that goes into that. And the morning of the parade starts off with their Breakfast with Santa event that's been going on for about 15 years. And my understanding is the last few years it's sold out. So that is obviously a very popular event. If you have kids that might want to go to Breakfast with Santa, you might want to check into getting tickets soon if you haven't already. So thank you again to Heritage League for all that they do for the community for Christmas and celebration of Christmas.
Santa's not here tonight.
Santa is not here tonight.
At the North Pole.
At the North Pole.
Santa's preparing for breakfast in a couple of weeks.
That's what he's doing.
That's right. And then just happy Thanksgiving. We in this country do have so much to be thankful for. In a world where there's a lot going on, we can always be thankful for what we have, the freedoms that we have. And so keep that in mind, and enjoy some time with your family. And like Carol said, don't forget those that may not have family and friends nearby. So happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mindy. Ken?
Thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say. There's so much going on in our world today, and not all of it is good. But I think if we stop and think, we have so much to be grateful for, and we need to do that. We need to stop. We need to take inventory of our lives and truly be thankful for the blessings that we have. And again, as I mentioned earlier, there are so many in our community that are less fortunate, and most often it doesn't take much to lift their spirits, and we just need to be more aware of those around us. So I hope that that's what we'll do. I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Ken. Betsy?
And to piggyback a little bit off of what Ken said, it is a difficult time of year, and the weather's cold, and a lot of people struggle. And just a reminder, we have the Genesis House and we have the Manna Center, so keep those in mind to share with anybody who might need it. Also, the animal shelter. This time of year and for the next few months is when a lot of animals get dumped. And so the animal shelter needs all the help it can get with supplies, toys, food, blankets, and consider adopting if you're going to get a pet for Christmas, which is a lifelong commitment. Lifelong. Consider going to the shelter, because they're going to be getting full in the next few months, unfortunately. On a happier note, I wanted to say thank you to Arthur and everybody out there who's working on the pool of Siloam. Thank you. Arthur does a lot for this community. He brings a lot of good businesses, and he just does a lot of positive things. And I'm excited for the pool of Siloam. It was here when I was a kid, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with my nieces and nephew and the rest of the family who's never seen it. So, happy Thanksgiving. Take care.
Thank you. Lisa.
Welcome. We're excited to work with you. So, I do have a question. On the Unified Development Code, are we going to get some type of steering committee, or is it just staff that will make decisions on why we're looking at it, if there should be changes or not? Because like you said, we don't want to just check the boxes and say, well, this doesn't fit, but never look at the original source, the ordinance. Are we going to involve our community in that process?
We'll have public meetings on it, yes.
Where they will be able to speak?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Provide feedback.
Okay.
Just to kind of bring context to that, when you create a new code, you start with a starting point, and we got to get to that starting point before we bring in the public.
Okay, because I have a lot of people that call me in the community, and I know you guys get a lot of emails from me, but I only email because the citizens are reaching out to me. I'm not trying to bug staff or get on your nerves. I'm reaching out because I'm getting reached out to. And so that's where my emails come from. And so I want to make sure the public is involved. So, the Veterans Parade was a great success. Thank you for the veterans that put that together. Thank you for the veterans for everything you've done for our community. If you didn't get to go, you missed out. It was a great parade. Thank you to the chamber and all that are involved for bringing back the pool of Siloam. I think it'll bless many people, not just in our community, but in communities around us. And I think it will bring people to our community to see how special we are and how we are, we have a biblical heritage in our community, and we're proud of that biblical heritage. Thank you to the Rotary for putting the Healing Garden together. I pray that it blesses many people. If you didn't get a chance to go to the ribbon cutting, I think they put it online. You should hear how it came about, why it came about, what its purpose is. It's a great addition to our community, and so I encourage everybody to look at that. I was wondering if we can get, I'm sorry, usually my list is like 1 or 2 items, but today I have a whole list, so sorry, be patient. I'm usually the quick one. Well, besides read, pretty quiet. Can we get a public update on the Lake Francis Road? Because I brought it to the pre-agenda, and I've had citizens calling me still saying, well, what was decided? What are they going to do? Was it a resolution that it was created?
Are you talking about the sign that changed?
Mm-hmm.
We were actually talking about that as a staff. It is such a long process. I would rather leave the sign as it is. This dates back to 1950, and it will affect 911. It will affect people billing, because they will have to change their billing addresses. Kevin, what else? We were discussing a lot of different things. It would be a long process to change a misspelling on a sign, since it's been that way.
What does
so
the resolution say? So do we have to do another resolution to say if it's is it a resolution?
At this point, staff's not been able to find the resolution. So sometime between 1950 and 1965, 1967 or so, the street started, instead of being referred to as Rosebud, which is what it was before, began being referred to as Lake Francis.
Mm-hmm.
And the spelling varies based on government documents are pretty consistently spelled with an E, but surveying and deeds and things like that are almost universally spelled with an I. And then in some cases it's given a Lake Francis with an I, but it's still called Rosebud on the plat. It's really just a mess, but staff's not been able to find any sort of resolution or ordinance initially changing that name.
Wouldn't it require a resolution to change a street name like that?
I'm not sure, Chris.
I guess I'm confused how that even happened when there's still a sign out there that spells, has the correct spelling on it.
No, over the years, whenever you have different plats that have the different spelling, that's what usually gets sent forward. So if you have a final plat that says it one way, you have another plat that says it another way, and then you have different legal documents. As far as the initial changing, if it was changed in the 50s, there's a possibility it may have been just through a local decision that was made in the 50s. I'm not sure what the population was here, but they did things a little bit differently in the 50s. So whether or not that was done through a resolution that was not properly filed in the 50s, or if we just haven't been able to locate it. One thing we will do is as we move along, we will take a little bit closer of a look at that, but it'll probably take a while to sort that mess out. So
It's just, if it was like Elm Street, like named after a tree, it's different, but it's a namesake. It's somebody's name that came to our community and gave to our community a lot, and we misspelled their name, which is
But it's been
sad.
70 years
And
and no
there's
one's
citizens
brought
that,
it up.
oh, well, I've had tons of them. That's why I brought it up. I've had them calling me, especially the ones that live on Lake Francis.
Again, we could, if that's this pleasure of the board, we can look into this. This is just gonna be a long process, because this spelling's been for 70 years. We will have to change 911 addresses, emergency address, fire,
I want to do
police.
whatever is honoring Frances Sloan Thomas, who it was named for, Stephen Thomas's mother. But it could be a very long process because of 911. And when you think about all the maps and technology that has to be involved in that, it's not something that can just be done by ordering new signs.
Right.
Has Judge Thomas expressed a concern about it?
No, I didn't even realize until I just had
That's
quite a
it,
few
yeah, it's his
citizens,
mother.
and so I haven't said anything to him. I thought about calling him, but I haven't.
So along with that, if I could, Jay's here. Can you tell us if we change the name of the street, just change the street sign, all of those deeds that have been issued, and is it going to affect any of that, any of the plats that have been filed? Is there any legal problems that will come to those people that already own property with it spelled
Not to put you on the
differently?
spot or anything.
Yeah.
Of course, I
Trial run.
always appreciate that. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. We can change the street to Elm Street, and it would not impact the legal description of the plats or the ownership of any property owners. So the street name can be changed at the will of the Board as we can change any other street within the city. The ramifications of that take a while to develop and to get approved and to go through 911 and your driver's license and all those things. So a change will take a long time to perpetuate, but the board can certainly start with a name change in the spelling.
Okay.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about all the people that have
All
an
the people that it
address
will
there on their driver's license,
And-
or their home address with the sticker. that
Yes,
they
sir. When
use.
we started looking into this today, or the last few weeks, and we had a meeting about it this morning, there's just so much that goes with a change that's been on for this long.
And one of those things, because they were going to change the name of the street when I lived somewhere else, is the post office only forwards for 6 months. And they will stop forwarding after 6 months,
You are correct.
even if you've never moved. So, yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
So the public knows the answer. At least I gave them an answer.
There you go.
That's my job.
Lisa, before you're done, I had one other thing.
Okay, I'm adjourn this. And then let me make sure that's one last thing. And then happy Thanksgiving to everyone. We hope you have a safe and wonderful day with your family and friends.
I was just gonna request that we include everyone in the Middle East in our prayers. That's all. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. So that's a good reminder. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.